Okay, I'm out driving this 2004 Expedition XLT that Shane brought in today. And I'm really excited over the vehicle, but it gave me an opportunity to get out and test drive it and take a few moments to talk to you about something that I really need to discuss, because often here I'm talking to the guys here and I ask simple questions that they simply don't think about until I ask the questions. And so this car, he went to Mannheim this morning and bought the car, and then one of my regular questions is who he bought the car from. And he bought the car from a wholesaler in the area that is one of our largest wholesalers in the area that we have a personal acquaintance with. And this brings me to my point of this subject. When you're going to an auction and you're working with dealers in the auction, it's very important to network with other wholesalers, and especially a wholesaler with the magnitude of this wholesaler. This wholesaler is actually running about 60 to 70 cars a week through the auto auction. So he is a major wholesaler there. And what I asked Shane is, why didn't you approach him? Shane was the top bidder on the car, and he knew the wholesaler. We both know him and have personal acquaintance with him. But they agreed on buying the car. Shane didn't get it for his winning bid, so he negotiated with the wholesaler over the car. Now, my immediate question was to Shane, if you did your negotiation outside the auction, why did you pay the auction fees? Now, that was a $165 fee that Shane had assessed by the auction, because him and the seller agreed on the purchase price. Now, many years ago, I got started negotiating with sellers at auctions, and I never would negotiate with the seller at the auction unless we negotiated outside the auction. So my point is, this seller is major wholesaler here in the area. He's like 5 miles from us. So if they couldn't agree on the price, the car would have gone back to his wholesale lot and he would have rerun it back through the auction. And my question was to Shane is, why didn't you wait for Josh to get it back to his wholesale lot and then go make the offer there and at least save the sale fees? So this is my point to you. Build your relationship with other wholesalers in the auction. I encourage my guys to go down to this wholesaler, see what he's got. The guy has some great connections about getting some good trade-ins. So I want my wholesalers to work his lot. Don't wait and pay auction fees. Now, I'm not going to cheat the auction out of anything, but if I literally buy it through the lane and I expect to pay fees. But if I can buy the car outside of the auction, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to pay a $200 auction fee if I can avoid it. So if you're working with the auction and they're involved in the deal, by all means expect to pay fees. But if I know a wholesaler that is up on the podium representing his cars, or if I know the seller of the cars and that car doesn't bring what it brings through the block, the auction block, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down that number, run number, and make model of the car, and then I'm going to call the wholesaler direct and say, hey, I tried to buy your 2004 Ford Expedition today, and I couldn't get there on the price. You know, I was at 15. What have you got to have for the truck? And he would have responded back 18, and at the very least, I would have got the car for $1,800. And Shane says, well, I just didn't think about it. And that's very common that we do get caught up and we don't think about it. But instead of having, he brought the car back and after auction fees and everything in it, we have like $2,015 in it. I would much rather have $1,800 in the car as opposed to $2,015. So when you get an opportunity to buy a car outside the auction, take that opportunity. And it's very simple to do. When that car goes through the auction and you see it, write down the run number, write down the type of car, and write down your final bid. Then find out who the seller of the car is. And in our particular case, we knew the seller of the car. But it's easy for you to find out the seller of the car and negotiate your terms outside of the auction. It's just smart business to do that. So always be aware of the cars that you may not bid high enough for, but write down that seller, get that seller's information, and go to them directly.